Hey, it's Jared. In this video, I'm going to be comparing the Fitbit Ace from Google/Fitbit and the Garmin Bounce from Garmin. This is a review and comparison between two different devices that are geared towards kids that provide not only fitness tracking, but also calls and text messages. These are connected devices, and they both pack some pretty decent features. So first of all, let's take a look at these two different devices. They're pretty close to the same size. As you can see, we've got the Garmin here and the Fitbit Ace here. I did put these devices on my kids for a couple of weeks just to kind of see. They are Apple Watch users. We got Apple Watch SEs when those watches came out. And so that's been like probably 5 or so years, maybe 6 years since we got those watches, and my kids still use them. But the Apple Watch leaves a lot to be desired when it comes to the types of things that you can do with them, being that they are a watch for a family member or for a kid, and then also their ability to stay connected, and the overall experience just hasn't been that great. And so when Google launched the Fitbit Ace, I wanted to give it a try, and being that I'm a Garmin user, I thought, well, let's give the Garmin device a try as well. And there's pros and cons to both of these, so let's just jump into the comparison. So looking at both of the devices here, you can see a clear difference just in the technology. You can see on the right here, the Fitbit Ace has a really nice display, very bright, goes pretty far out to the edges, and the Garmin has this little kind of block display here in the middle, and it's just not as nice looking. But you know, that's kind of typical of Garmin devices. Garmin devices usually have a longer battery life and just are a bit different if you're comparing like a Garmin device to something like an Apple Watch or even something like the Pixel Watch from Google. So looking at these watches side by side, you could definitely see there's a little bit of a difference just in shape and size. Both of them are about the same footprint and the same thickness. There's not much of a difference there between the two of them. Both of them have 2 buttons on this side and no buttons on the other side. You can see there are microphones over here on the left-hand side. 2 different watch band styles. Obviously with the Fitbit, the nylon band is a nice option. I definitely enjoy the nylon band on my watch. And so the nylon band is the standard that comes with this watch, and it comes in different colors. This is the more, I guess, feminine color palette here with this watch, but there are other color options as well. I'll make sure to link to those down below. Now the Bounce has more of a traditional watch band, has kind of a pattern texture to it. And so it's a nice looking watch band. It's a very simple watch with the 2 buttons on the side. One button will wake the screen and then take you into the apps, the other button being a back button, and then when you're on the main screen, it doesn't really do anything. Pressing and holding on this brings down the controls from the top, which is something you can also access with a swipe. Then of course you could swipe side to side as well and get weather, your health stats, your daily leaderboard, and also tasks as well. And so lots of things you could just swipe and get to, including your text messages here, which these are things you can also access by going into the app. So if we press on the apps, we've got our text message. So my son can contact me or anybody that's in the contacts. He can check in with his location or get help. You can go into fitness activities and games. So there are fitness activities that you can log, like walking, running, bike riding, all that good stuff. But there are also games that you can do on this device as well, which are pretty simple games, nothing too crazy there. Then we have our watch face settings, so we can control the different watch face. We can set alarms, timers, stopwatch, all that good stuff. And then we have our overall watch settings as well. We could change sounds and vibrate settings and stuff like that. So the Garmin Bounce is a very simple watch, not a whole lot going on there. It's simply a device that makes it easy for you to communicate with your parents, as well as track your basic fitness metrics. Now, what you'll notice that it doesn't have on the back is a heart rate monitor, in which the Fitbit Ace does. So there's no heart rate monitoring on the Garmin Bounce. Here's the Garmin app, and so if I had multiple kids with Garmin devices here, they'd all show up. I can tap on this particular device and I can see the activity for the day, the chores done for the day, the amount of sleep, steps, rewards, stats, and control the settings here as well. And so this device is mainly meant to be controlled from the phone. And so you change all the settings, make any adjustments that you need to on the phone, very easy. You can go into the location here and actually see your child's location. You can see the battery life on it. You can see when they arrived at home and that time. You can also do live tracking, which is really good. I like the features here with this. You know, the Apple Watch has Find My, so you can use Find My, but it seems pretty slow at times. Sometimes with the Apple Watches, it's just not as fast to update as maybe a phone is, but this Garmin device is really fast to update, and the live track is really great. If you've ever used a Garmin watch yourself and used the live track feature there that typically works connected through a phone, It's excellent. I love it. And it works just as well and is just as accurate in this device here. I can also go to connect, where I can text message with my son here. I can send a text, and then he'll get the text message on his device here in a second. There it is, beeped, and the text message is there. I could then reply. I can use the microphone and tap to record, and I can actually send a voice message. And so if I hit done and send, I will send the voice message. I can then also go here and I could send emojis. And so here I've got the voice recording that just showed up. I can send a emoji text. I could send a audible emoji. And so that's an emoji with a sound effect, like a kissing sound that it makes, or whatever the emoji sound. And then we have preset text messages that are here as well. What I don't like about the Garmin is that there's no keyboard, so I can't send a custom message. I would have to send a voice message, which probably is not that big of a deal. I mean, sending a voice message is definitely faster and more convenient than tapping out a text message, but the app is missing that. Now, another thing that this watch doesn't have is the ability to make a phone call. All I can do is communicate using emojis or voice text. There's no way to actually create a phone call and have a conversation back and forth. You'd have to do that with voice chat. Now, what I can do from the parent side is actually send a text message using any text that I want to type in. So I could say something like, come home, and send that. And so that message would pop up, and then I can reply to that, maybe with a thumbs up or something like that, and send that back. And so the conversation is definitely a bit different here, as you'll see with the Fitbit Ace here in a second, or perhaps if you were using something like an Apple Watch. So overall, the Garmin watch is very basic. It's very simple. It has features that work really well, but not a whole lot of features there. Let's actually take a look now at the Fitbit Ace. Let's turn the screen on and take a look. So you can see we've got the time here. We have an animal that tracks all the way around that fills up as your child is more active. I like that because there's an instant way for your child to see, okay, I need to be a little bit more active today. I haven't been super active. So they need to keep going until the animal reaches all the way on the other side. We've got some notifications here. If we swipe up, if we swipe down, we've got our control settings. If we swipe to the side, we've got our daily quests. We've got games that we can play from within the device as well. And so you can just swipe either direction and get access to those. When you open up the games and your emoji world, there's a name for it. I can't remember what they decided to call emojis on here. But you can kind of customize your emoji. As you're more active, you can unlock different outfits, different things to dress and outfit your emoji. And so essentially there are reasons for you to be more active, because as you're more active, you're unlocking stuff. Yes, the Garmin has that, but it's more of an in-app experience on the phone. So your child has to kind of use the phone to get more access to those features. And so on the Fitbit Ace, you can see here we can kind of toggle through our home and tap on different things that are in the home and interact with them. And then we can also jump into different games, and different games could be unlocked as your child has been more active and unlocked different achievements. And so lots of different little games that can be played, and those are rewards for being more active. And so there's more that a child can do on this device. So the Fitbit Ace definitely feels more like a smartwatch that has fitness features than it is just a standalone fitness device. So if we press the main button on the side here, you can see we get to our main settings where we have our activity settings. So I can see our move goal, our active, light, steps, floors, all that good stuff. I could set goals, and the child can control these from their watch, which is great. Then we can also set alarm, stopwatch, timer, all that good stuff. Very easy to access. We can call and message any people that are in our contacts. I'd say maybe one of the frustrating things about both of these devices, and maybe it's not frustrating, it's definitely just part of the way that these devices operate, is that in order to text message and communicate with the child who's wearing the watch, you have to have the app, and you also have to have permission. I like the permission part, but having either the Fitbit Ace app or the Garmin Junior app on your device definitely means that each person, each parent, each maybe older child or aunt or uncle, grandma, grandpa, all have to have those apps on their phone, and they also have to have accounts, which I guess with Garmin means you have to create an account even if you're not a Garmin user. And with Fitbit Ace, you could definitely just use your Google account, your Gmail account. So let's take a look at the app experience, the communication experience here. I really like the Fitbit Ace app. We've got a dashboard for my daughter. I can very easily call or message. So let's just shoot a message over. We'll just send an emoji and see how fast that responds here. You can see it's already shown up. I could just swipe up to get access to it. She could hit reply, She could call me, send an emoji, send voice, send predetermined or preloaded responses here, or load the keyboard and actually tap out a response as well. And so I really like that there's a keyboard in there for sending a custom response, or of course, we could just send a voice recording as well. We could tap and record a voice message and then just let off when we're done and send that, and it will pop up over here pretty quickly, very fast actually for voice. And then we could go back in, we could tap on dad, and we can call. And so we'll just see how fast the phone call actually connects. You can see that it's already connecting there. And if I hit accept, there it is, we're already talking. So I really like that there's actual phone call functionality on this device, so that if my daughter wants to call or text or respond in whichever way makes sense for the specific situation, she has that ability. Now let's take a look at locate device. You can see here we have the location showing up. You can see that it was updated 2 minutes ago. I could see the battery life, which is definitely something I could see on the Garmin as well. But I can also see whether or not the device is on or off of her wrist, which is important because I could see like, oh, this was last updated 2 minutes ago and her battery's at 100%, but it could just be sitting on the counter and not on her actual wrist. I can also get directions to where she is and all that good stuff. I can see all of her fitness and movement information, and I can also add contacts. And like I said, contacts have to have the app. And so I can add a contact simply by tapping here, and I could text message instructions to another family member on how they can install the app so that they can communicate with my daughter. There are also settings that I can use to control her access to the watch as well, such as managing school time settings, different friends, and what her friends who also have the Fitbit can see. Of course, you can't add friends, which is kind of irritating. Like, they can't actually call or message each other. So if I add one of her friends who also has this device, they can't call or text each other, but they can see each other's fitness information, which I guess is better than nothing. We have our location settings. We have our device control here as well, so I can locate or play a sound if the device is lost. And then I can access our subscription to Ace Pass here from within the app also. I have to say, like, both of these devices are good. They're just good for different reasons. The Fitbit Ace is definitely the best all-around device as far as a smartwatch goes that gives your child more than just basic communication settings and some fitness tracking. The Fitbit Ace, with its ability to make calls and also send custom text messages, I say that's a huge win. It has the in-app games and stuff that can be unlocked through achievements by leveling up your fitness. That's also really good. And overall, it's just a better looking device. Now, it is a glass-faced device, and it comes with a screen bumper that you could put on it as well that adds a bit of bulk. You can get screen protectors for this device. Very simple, very easy. And I'd say overall, like, this is just a nice looking watch. It's great. My daughter was super stoked to be using it, and she was enjoying it a lot more than the Apple Watch that she's been wearing for the last several years. Now, the Garmin, on the other hand, is more basic. Definitely a watch that you would give your child if you just want the features of communication and fitness tracking. You don't want something that's going to be distracting. The Garmin Bounce definitely doesn't have those features. Now, if you're also a Garmin user, then your Garmin fitness activity and theirs can be seen as we saw on the watch itself. I can see their steps, they can see my steps, which is great. So if you already live in that Garmin world, maybe the Garmin Bounce is a better option for your child. So being that both of these devices have communication features, that means that they do need a subscription. Both of them cost about $10 a month, or if you pay for a full year, it's a little bit cheaper. But that essentially is giving you the cellular access that both of these devices need individually, so that they can communicate with cell towers for location, phone calls, text messages, and all that good stuff. So that's about the same price you're going to pay if you went with something like an Apple Watch. If you got your child an Apple Watch, it's probably going to cost $10, maybe a little bit more depending on your carrier, to get service to that watch in order for them to be able to text message, make calls, and stuff like that. What both of these watches don't have is any sort of a media player or the ability to load external apps to them. They are a very closed down experience, and I think that's good. So which one should you choose? Well, I have to say the Fitbit Ace definitely wins hands down. It is a bit more expensive, but the monthly subscription is the same, and you get a lot more features with the Fitbit Ace. It's definitely more of a modern device also. If you want a more simple device that's a little bit cheaper to buy up front, but the same cost overall month to month, the Garmin Bounce is a great option. I think the Garmin Bounce might be a little bit more durable over time as well. As you can see that there's no glass going over the edges. It kind of has built-in protection all the way around it, whereas the Fitbit Ace does not, unless you put the big screen protector on it. Now, gauging the excitement levels that each of my kids have, my daughter was definitely more excited to use the Fitbit Ace than my son was to use the Garmin Bounce. Being that he has an Apple Watch, this was a significant downgrade for him, but my daughter really enjoyed this and enjoyed it a lot more than her Apple Watch. For me as a parent, I want a device that's going to provide the best communication tools, location tracking for my kids as possible, and I think the Fitbit Ace does that, and it even does that better than an Apple Watch. So I'll link to both the Fitbit Ace and the Garmin Bounce down in the description below, as well as Apple Watch, because maybe that's an option for you if you are a family that's all in the Apple ecosystem. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask down in the comment section below. The statistics that I get as a YouTuber show that over 90% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed, so subscribe to my channel would be super appreciated. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you back in another one soon. Take care.